Hello everybody, here we are. It is Saturday the 3rd of November 2012 and I'm here to review the Superman Earth 1 Volume 2 written by J. Michael Straczynski with artwork by Shane Davis. Okay, if you remember, Volume 1 came out I think about a year and a half ago, and this is actually, for me, I actually enjoyed this one a lot more than the first one. I've linked my review, so the video for the first volume review will be on the video, so just have a look at that one and then you'll understand how I felt about that. Even though when I've read it a second time, volume 1, and I did eventually, sort of came around to it, but this one was just superb. It really was superb. It's obviously a new take, as it were, to the Superman mythology. And this one here, it's pretty much the introduction, or bringing in a new villain, and this time it's Parasite. And I actually quite like what they've done with Parasite. Not going to get too much into how he was made and stuff, but just Superman altogether and Clark Kent. It was just amazing to read this. There was so much sort of heart and emotion involved. There's as the story goes on, Clark rather, starts to feel, he realises that with all the powers that he has in the world, it's almost as if he looks at them and takes them for granted. And there's a point in the comic book where he loses all his powers to the point of where he's bruised, he's bleeding, he's basically, he's vulnerable. He's a regular human, as it were, and he's on the phone to Martha Kent, and he's explaining to her how he felt, how he was so, he was just very human, and he explains how he's in awe and he has so much admiration for human beings, in that they have all this, they go out and they step out in the front door not knowing what's going to happen to them. I mean, there's where is it? It's like, I'm in such awe of you, all of you. Everybody thinks I'm some kind of big deal, but losing my powers made me realise that what courage humans have just to walk out the front door every day, how hard that must be, and how much the odds are stacked against them. So it opened his eyes, basically. At the same time, he's where he's moved into. He's moved into a new apartment, and there's this girl who's pretty much the girl next door. Her name is Lisa, and wow, she's very, very attractive, and she pretty much hits all the right buttons for Clark. So yeah, there's still nothing happening between him and Lois. Lois is obviously in the comic book, so don't worry. She's in there, so is Jimmy, and also Perry. So all the familiar characters are in there. What I will say is, I love the way that the story ended. It was brilliantly well done. This Major, what's her name? Major, I need to get her name properly. Major Sandra Lee. Yes, she's special liaison to the Pentagon, and obviously, if you remember, in Volume 1, she was involved with the Superman ship, basically, and how it evolved, how it repaired itself, managed to get itself out of the container that it was held in. And throughout in the comic book, the ship helps Superman as well. It helps him in his fight against Parasite, and it is very, very well done, I think. And the comics say the ship talks to Clark, and that kind of, I don't know, it's kind of surreal that the ship is talking to Superman here. Obviously, we've seen it in Smallville, and it's occurred in other comic books, especially the New Action 52 as well, in some parts. New Action Comics, New 52 rather, not Action 52, wherever that came from. But like I say, there's so much emotion in this, particularly to do with Parasite, also to do with Clark himself as well. And we do get some flashbacks as well to when he was with Jonathan. But I think the real heart of this comic book, the real thing that really tugs at you, is Superman. Clark tells Lisa a story about a pet that he had, a cat named Fuzzball. And when you read the section, I'll just show you there, it's pretty much all in here, this 2-page spread, and you really do feel serious emotion in that. And I thought it was well played in some sense. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was such a solid story. I think they're going to do a volume 3. I think JMS has already mentioned that volume 3 is in progression, that they've started. So I think if they carry on, we could have something of something brilliant, really. I'm still also waiting for Jeff Johns and hopefully Gary Frank to get a volume 2 of Batman Earth 1 as well, because I really loved the first volume. That was pretty good. But again, I mean, there's so much room, there's so much potential, and as I say, the way that this ended, it's left it open again. It's amazing. It really is amazing. And it's just I've just got to read something here, because it made me laugh. It's like pretty much at the very end of the book. But before I get on to that, I just want to quickly mention Lois Lane. She does some investigation of her own, and it is to do with Clark Kent, and it's the results that come out that it's not necessarily what she finds out. It's what occurs after she has tried to gain information about Clark. That's what was interesting. On the other plus side about Superman, obviously it's all about, at the same time, it's all about the amount of power that he possesses, and as I said it earlier on, it's about how he takes his powers for granted. There's a conflict occurring in another part of the world, and he's trying to save the locals and the civilians and such, and this particular warlord, as we're going to call him, pretty much tells Superman, you get involved and this is what's going to happen. And then towards the back end, you see the extent of how that actually comes to a resolution, and it is quite interesting how Superman gets involved but doesn't necessarily get involved, if you know what I mean. And he uses his powers really well, but it's more of his intuition. He uses his common sense, he uses his mind, his brain properly. He thinks things through. He realizes from what he was told by this warlord at the beginning. He uses that against him, and the results for that one is pretty sweet as well. So at the same time, as I say, back at his flat, his apartment, obviously other than Lisa, who lives next door to him, there's a drug addict as well, who when you see what happens to him, well, even Clark is like, he just had no idea the extent of what really was going on with this guy. He knew he was a drug addict, but he didn't know just how bad the situation was for him. But like I say, towards the end anyway, involving a couple of characters, there's a dialogue here that just made me laugh so much that I just sat there and I went, oh my god. We've got this woman talking to a man, and she pretty much just said, they seem to think you're far too soft-spoken, quiet and gentle for me. And he goes, well, what do you tell them? She whispers, I tell them that you're the best, and we don't actually see what is said, but she whispers to him, and his response is, you shouldn't do that to a man trying to read equations. My brain needs all the blood it can get. And I'm like, oh god. And then she replies, I thought I'd add to the challenge, and he's like, fine, great, so pardon me while I pass out. I just thought, wow. So just don't let your kids read that, that's all I'm going to say. But no, seriously, brilliantly done. That's I loved it. I really did love it. So yeah, let me know what you thought of it if you've read it yet, and if you have read it, by all means let me know. Well, if you haven't read it, get it. Definitely worth it. It's superb. So yes, that's it from me, and I will see you all very soon. Okay, bye.